Hello and welcome to Farming Academy. And Farming Academy goes virtual. Today we are going to hear about African Association of Vertical Farming. And we have some special guests here. We have Josephine and we have Peter. And Peter is going to tell us a little bit more about what vertical farming is. But just to start with, let us watch a little video. And now I want to ask Josephine. We just watched a video about African Association of Vertical Farming. Can you please tell me what is African Association of Vertical Farming?
Thanks a lot, Jeanette. For having us here. And we've been speaking about this time, and I'm so honored to be part of this Farming Academy family. And the African Association for Vertical Farming ties the youth and women across the African continent together to actually introduce farming in another level, in a totally different or a new level, let's put it this way, by showing that farming can be done with technology and, alleviate, of course, poverty and hunger, because there is so much going on out there in the African continent. And this is also because of the growing population, urbanization, and a lot of, the climate change challenges that are actually facing our world of today. And we're even going to go as recent as the pandemic. So for us, having this platform in order to empower the men and women of Africa to see agriculture in a different way, to come together and to create a space, to from farm to fork strategy, or to introduce the farm to fork strategy in Africa, and opening this space up with new technologies. So the African Association for Vertical Farming goes to different communities, and we do our best to actually share the science to the different communities in Africa. And this is our passion. We don't even see it as work, actually. We see it as a way to push Africa's urbanization forward.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking. I'm burning in with a question. I don't think it is only for Africa. I think vertical farming is for the whole world, and that's brilliant to have you as one of our content providers on Farming Academy, because I know there's a lot of people in Scandinavia that would love to know about vertical farming.
Yeah.
And maybe we should ask Peter, could you just give us a short introduction to what is the principles of, connected to vertical farming?
Okay. Vertical farming is one of the best technology that alleviate hunger while improving the food security, which is one of the discourse which is going around currently, which is largely influenced by the climate change. So we are promoting vertical farming. We are promoting sustainable farming to make sure that everyone is entitled to food, everyone have an access to food, and everyone is empowered through this food system. So one of the technology that we highly promote is vertical farming technology. This is a technology that saves water, a technology which is climate resilient, a technology which saves space, a technology which is not seasonal. Remember, the technology which most of the African farmers, most of the African smallholder farmers are practicing right now do not mitigate the challenges that are brought by the climate change, do not mitigate the challenges brought by the surge of population. But then we are bringing a new technology, a technology which will now provide us with food all year round, a technology which will bring more youth into agriculture, a technology which is resilient to a lot of diseases, pests, which are largely brought by climate change effect. So this is what we've been promoting. So we've been working with women and youth, making sure that they are highly involved. Like you all know, women are, like many women are involved in agriculture in Africa. At the same time, youth are the majority. So we've been working together with them, women and youth, so that we make sure that the vertical farming is taken to the next level.
Yeah.
Besides that, we've tried as possible to bring as many youths as possible on board so that they can be part of this amazing journey of making Africa food free. So what are we doing with these particular youths? We are capacity building them with skills that will enable them to expand, to manage, to build the infrastructure in their various communities so that their community can be food secure. At the same time, these youths are facing a lot of challenges when it comes to employment. So what we are doing is sharing with them emerging opportunities as possible so that they have an access to the knowledge of the opportunities that are around them. At the same time, these youths, they have a lot of ideas which they have nowhere to place them. So what are we doing with these youths? At the same time, we have an incubation center which we are now mentoring these youths so that any idea is going to be incubated, supported, so that they can use the knowledge on the innovation as a tool to improve food security in Africa. So this is the technology that we want, and we are training in the Vertical Farming Academy to change the lives of youths and women while improving food security in Africa. Thank you.
Wow, thanks, Peter. That's really great.
And now I have some questions, because I think maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard it is a problem if you're, for example, if you are a woman in Africa that wants to start to farm, the first challenge is you have to find a piece of land, and land is expensive. And I was thinking, when you go vertical, then one of the smart things is you don't need the same amount of land. You don't need as many hectares to produce, because you go up in the air. Is that
Yeah, Jeanette, yes, this is one of the one of the discussions that we always have when we are in different communities. You have also women who have at their home place just a balcony, or behind their home they have a garden, like a 2 meters by 3 meters or something of the sort. You can do quite a lot with a 2 meters by 3 meters. You don't really necessarily have to have land that is attributed over to you. And I think this is also another exercise that people have to really think. You can start very small.
Mm.
And once you're starting very small, let's say with your balcony or behind your home, with that little space that you have, once you have had the yield, maybe 3 times more than a traditional farming, you can sell your so-called crops. And then slowly but surely, eventually you can go out there and seek a bigger land. So
Yeah.
you don't have to start despairing because you only have a little land and you think you do not have enough money to get that land. You can always start very, very little, very, very small, and go from there. So anyone can be actually a farmer. Anyone can provide actually that particular produce, as small as it may be, and then move forward from there.
Just to add something on that, Jeanette, one of the problems that smallholder farmers in Africa faces, most of the women, is access to land. But then one of the AVF strategy is involvement in the policy making that will see the women advances or do a lot of farming. So while we are encouraging the government, while we're encouraging the youths, the women to be together so that they can farm in groups, we are also encouraging them, just like Josephine said, to utilize the small space they have at their backyard, the small plot of land that they have just been given at their home for free, though they are not entitled to it, to maximize it by growing vertically. Yeah. For example, in a square meter, a farmer can grow up to 150 plants, depending on how many layers he goes on top, or she goes on or up. So the space up here is unlimited. So we've been encouraging them day by day as we work on the policy making that will see women entitled to have land at their various homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could also see another thing that it makes me think of here during COVID-19. I know a lot of people have had to be teachers at home for their children. Yeah. And I think it's a problem if kids don't know where the food comes from. And it would be brilliant to teach children what is farming. And they could actually start at home.
Yeah.
Almost farming in a bucket. They could they could have their own little farm as a little project, and they could produce some food that could be put on the table, and the parents and the children could have a very good discussion of where does food come from.
Yeah.
And I could see a lot of European teachers and American teachers would have a lot of benefits by having a tool where you can talk about science, biology, and let the kids actually get their hands dirty by doing some farming themselves. That gives a whole other level of understanding.
Yeah.
I think that would be brilliant also to let a lot of people have access to the lectures from African Association of Vertical Farming on Farmingacademy, because a lot of people would relate to this and a lot of people could use it directly.
Yeah, actually, we are really doing our best to also bring in the farm to fork strategy, which has been actually voted on the European Union. And to also, this is another way of teaching the children where the produce comes from. Has nothing to do with the competition, not going to the supermarket, but it is also another way of saying that, let's go out the back door and get some tomatoes, for example. So you have really the child coming with you, plucking up the tomatoes and going home and washing them, and then including that in the part of the salad, So this is a kind of education that we are really enhancing also in Africa, in African schools. And, we have a whole program right now that we are working on that is going to be hopefully next year going to be let out in Kenya, for example, where schools are going to be our main target for 2021.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, just to add something on that, the reason why there are few youths that are involved in agriculture is that they were not involved when they were young. When they were going to school, digging or going to weed at the farm was a punishment in school. So they grew up knowing that farming is a punishment. Mm-hmm. So what we try to do is we are going there at the primary and nursery level so that we can bring this amazing technology, soilless, which is not going to hurt their back, which the teachers cannot use as a punishment for kids to go at the garden.
Yeah.
A technology which is very cool and it's very nice, which the kids will be more willing to take pictures with, and the kids will be more than willing to just to rest there, just to be there because of the nature and the aesthetic part of it. So this is what we want to nurture. So we are working with a like-minded organization. We want to roll it out in Kenya. That we'll see now organizations, we'll see now us working with schools, school-going children, and training them the simple vertical farming techniques, helping them how to manage, and just encouraging them to practice even more so that they can use the knowledge as a tool to feed their families and their community. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I have a lot of questions. Next question. The next question is education. I think it would be brilliant to give people an easy access to high quality education. That's actually why we built Farming Academy. And how is the situation in Africa? Is it easy to get access to education for everybody?
Well, I mean, Africa is a huge continent, so you probably have to, to turn up from one country to another.
Yeah, I know that. Sorry.
Yeah, and everyone has got their own, and their own structure. I'm originally from Tanzania, and I'm so happy and proud to say that the government in Tanzania has put education in the forefront, and most of the education right now is really free of charge. And I do believe that is a way forward, actually, to making sure that people have that particular access into education. And then after that, of course, until maybe high school, if somebody wants to go to university or whatever, can start paying on their own. But the really important education is really free of charge in my home country, Tanzania. And I'm very, very proud that the government has really put that forward. Yeah. But
I'm looking from the point of view of now I'm sitting in Scandinavia, and most of our educations are for free. But if you, as an adult, want to upgrade, you have to go and look for some education. Farming Academy would be a place where you would go and look to take lectures.
Yeah.
And maybe. Maybe if I can add something on that, most of the African country governments are trying as much as possible to support the education sector by maybe providing free education. But in some countries, it has not advanced that much. For example, I'll give you an example of Kenya, where it's only the primary education which is free for school-going children. So while the government is trying as much as possible to support the training and offering the relevant content, but then the smart farming and the vertical farming, or the soilless farming aspect, has been neglected for a very long time. It's actually not integrated in the curriculum. But then, having done the research, having a good knowledge of the African education terrain, African Association for Vertical Farming came up with a curriculum to complement what the African government is having, so that the education, they can have an affordable and an access to smart farming, soilless farming, vertical farming solution, which is not in their curriculum, as a complement to what is being given, so that the education level or the agriculture sector grows immensely. So that's what we have done. We've just complemented what government is offering. We've done our research. We've known that this part of curriculum is not there, and we've partnered with a number of universities of Kenya, and offered an independent training, which one of them is the Vertical Farming Academy, whereby we are providing tailor-made and solution-oriented training to complement the content in most of the African education sector, more so the agriculture. So that's actually what we have done.
Yeah. And we are really pointing people out also to Farming Academy. I think in the next coming months, this is going to be part of the education in agriculture, where people are going to be looking for the African Association for Vertical Farming. But now we have put everything on Farming Academy. So you will have, kind of like a traffic coming into Farming Academy via the African Association for Vertical Farming, because this is an extra education for those that have just come out from university and they want to learn more about agriculture. And for the youth right now who are technology savvy, they also want to learn about what's up in the so-called agriculture with technology. So I think us partnering together with Farming Academy, it's really a thumbs up, for putting all what we've put together, and we want everyone to have access to what we are teaching.
And I think you're going to be very popular in Europe also, and especially also if we take a place like Balkans, that's very close to Europe, but they don't have the same educational
level
as we have, and it will make a big difference to be able to take some lectures and actually to have a way to prove that you have the knowledge by being able to take a test, take an exam, and get a certificate to prove that you have completed the lectures. That can make a huge difference. If, for example, you want to invest in farming, you want to start a farm, it'll make a huge difference that you can come and show the bank or whoever you're talking to that you are actually a skilled person.
Mm-hmm.
You can come and show your certificate, your diploma, and say, I have completed this. I know that. Mm-hmm. I think that's make a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because that's the first thing that we also get as a question. Do I get a certification after I've completed my lectures? And of course, everyone wants to have a certification, because when they're going to put together a farm out there, and especially when you talk about farming with technologies, you would like to have people know that you have taken that in an area where people know exactly what they're talking about. And that particular certification also, qualifies you to be a vertical farming provider or a vertical farmer who is going to provide their vegetables into a 5-star hotel, or provide, to market, or whatever it is. So for us, it's really, really important, this education part, that, that we close here, meaning that, yes, there is a certification. Yes, we're dealing together with a platform as, Farming Academy, that is very, very knowledgeable, let's say. And of course, it's not only just on the technology side of vertical farming, but Farming Academy also has other agriculture, degree lessons that one is able to take.
Exactly. You can make a combination.
Yeah.
And you can upgrade your skills, and we are especially also giving the opportunity to adult people that want to upgrade their skills.
Yeah.
Oh, and that is brilliant to have vertical farming as one of the topics that we have on Farming Academy.
Yeah, And just to add something on that, our courses should be very broad, from vertical farming to sustainable farming as a whole, because we are promoting two concepts, whereby there's vertical farming and at the same time sustainable farming, whereby we are now training the participants on the best farming practices which conforms with climate change standards. For example, we can train them how they can do open field farming, but in a sustainable way that will not encroach the environment. Okay?
Yeah.
We train them on water management practices, okay, that will not able to now kill the microorganisms or the fauna that are in the environment. So a lot of sustainable farming will also appear, organic farming, ways they can manage their crops sustainably, with mulching, grazing, like controlled grazing, so that the environment remains as sustainable as possible. Okay.
Yes, so you have the biodiversity.
Yeah, biodiversity.
Yeah. And I don't know if you want to add on to this. I mean, we are not only just, the AVF is not only just involved in training the infrastructure on how to put a vertical farm from A to Z. We also talk about the whole, agro value chain, the marketing, the sales, the packaging, the post-harvest losses, the waste and how to treat the food waste and all this all comes in actually in our training, because I get asked so many questions. Okay, so you're coming over to put an infrastructure, in that particular time. Are you going to teach us how to plant, for example, from the time the seed is actually in the nursery, and from the nursery to the planting, and then to follow the whole circle until to the harvesting, and just taking care of the whole, the value chain. Of course, that we do that. And then you have the so-called the business aspect, how to become an agripreneur. How to become an agripreneur. Those are things that you have to think a little bit beforehand, and even before you get your farm, in which market, in which crop are you going to put in which market are you going to kind of like, push your products or your produce to. So these are the kind of, activities and structures that we actually include in our vertical farming, lessons or trainings. And we just want people to know that we just don't stop by putting an infrastructure together.
So your learners will be well prepared to start up.
Yeah, we are actually preparing the future agripreneur, the youth. The youth of today need to know that they should not be afraid of becoming a farmer. And becoming a farmer is becoming an agripreneur. So you have to learn everything from A to Z. You've got the challenges like any other business at the end of the day, but you need to learn everything from scratch. And then you have one area to go to where you're going to learn about all this. And that's with the AAVF and Farming Academy.
And that's brilliant. And it will also give a lot of perspective for the learners when people realize that it is not just farming is not just, you really need to know what you're doing, and then you can succeed.
And then also learning to be a farmer is also the passion of a farmer.
Yes.
A modern farmer has to have this passion of saying that you're not only just feeding your immediate family, you're feeding the whole world.
Yes.
So you need to create a passion on saying that I am responsible of massive of people, and because of me, people are going to be able to be nourished. So the food security is part of our mission.
Yeah, just to add something on that, another reason why a lot of youths have been like fleeing away from agriculture is because they normally think that agriculture only involves digging, going to the farm with jembes and digging. But then AVF is encouraging them that the agro value chain is very broad.
Yeah.
And that's what we're retooling them. We are profiling them based on their interests and skills, so that we place them on their area of interest within the value chain. where their passions are. For example, a youth who likes marketing, or the one who likes maybe graphic design cannot produce. How will that youth know that? We profile them using skill retooling tool, which assess their skills simultaneously and unveil that hidden potential that they never knew, and then thereafter place them on the value chain where they will eventually succeed. So we not only just train them and leave them there, we have to tell them, we profile them and tell them, you see, this is where you're good at. Try to leverage all your energy at this particular sector or at this particular stage of the value chain, and you will prosper. Yeah.
So, in other words, you give a much better PR for the farmers all through society.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess,
Brilliant.
yes. I suppose the PR comes when the
Yeah.
farmer knows what their business plan is all about.
Exactly.
And-
And people have to realize that you need knowledge
Yeah.
to produce well. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
also
that's brilliant.
when it comes over to people that have no so much notion about climate changes, I think it is also very important to come over to Farming Academy to learn actually these challenges when it comes over to because agriculture can be very much affected by what's going on out there in the environment. And if you are not so much in sync with this kind of knowledge, you can be very, very confused, because your
Yes.
plant is not growing, you've got too much water or too dry, or the wind and other areas like the locust invasions. And so if you have a platform where you're going to seek these type of, answers, I think it is very, very easy for you then to understand how you're going to come over these challenges in the near future in your so-called agriculture journey.
Yeah. And I also see the consumers. The consumers could go in on Farming Academy and get an introduction to different kinds of methods of farming.
Yeah.
So the consumer that want to buy the product that goes well along with their own ideology, they can choose to spend their money in the place they want to support.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And also another thing for people who are a little bit afraid of the agriculture so-called adventure, they need also to connect with people who are passionate about this adventure, and to have people holding their hands and saying, yes, it's just like every other challenge, every other business challenge is where you have to overcome this fear of becoming an agripreneur and just go through it. There will always be people who are going to hold your hand. There are always going to be people who are going to give you the right training. So that's why I do believe our platform is really essential for those who want to venture into agriculture, but are still very, very afraid to do so because they have seen very negative things about agriculture. So I really do believe we're doing the right thing.
That's brilliant. I think I will take that note to say I want to show people how to make a learner's account on Farming Academy. So just a second, I'll share my screen. I just have to find the right screen to share. Just a second. Here you can see Farming Academy. When you log in on farmingacademy.eu, you can read a lot of things about Farming Academy. We are very open, and you can see who is the owners. You can see what is our missions, our visions. But you can find the classroom. When you click on the classroom, you can come to a place where you can log in. And you can create a user's account, a learner's account. Now I have created one, so I can go in and choose what kind of lectures I want. But just a quick sum up, you go in on farmingacademy.eu and then you create your learner's account, and that's for free. So we can only tell everybody, please go in, have a look, and you will also find a whole community. You can ask the instructors if you have questions. If you have taken a lecture and you have some questions, then you can just write your questions directly to the instructor. You can also form study groups, and you can have the whole study group ask the instructor, and the instructor can come with feedback, and that feedback could also be an inspiration for making other lectures. If you get a lot of questions that you did not think people wanted to know about, then you know, oh, we have to do a lecture on that topic. So that's how you become a learner on Farming Academy. But now we are running out of time. So I want to say thank you to Josephine. Thank you to Peter. Thank you for joining the Farming Academy family.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for all your good work.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank
And
you.
talk to you soon, huh?
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
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 Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.